Yo, we are back. It's a Goodfellas podcast. It's your boy Dougie. I got A-Will, I got Five with me, and we got a special guest in the house tonight. We got Zach from Off the Glass Podcast. Welcome, my brother.
Welcome, man.
Yes.
Welcome. I feel welcome. Thanks for having me. Been long overdue.
Yes.
Been following you guys from afar. Personal relationships, known you guys for a nice minute. Glad to see y'all doing y'all thing in this podcasting arena. And let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
So before we do that, man, just tell the people a little bit about your sports background, man, for those that don't know.
I got a very straight, very linear sports background. All basketball. Like I said on another podcast, got a unique background. Learned how to play from women. My mom was a coach. All her friends were like my aunts. My dad coached me later. Started playing organized like 7 years old. So by the time I got to 5th grade, I was the starting point guard on my 8th grade team when I went to school in the city. Thanks to playing small fry basketball. Then from there, went to Homewood Flossmoor. Didn't play out there, real small. Got to junior college, had a crazy growth spurt my freshman year. Went from like 5'7", I remember exactly, 5'7", 3/4 to like 6'1", in like a span of like a spring semester. Played there. It was a D1, Northeast in Norfolk, Nebraska. So at that time, you're talking about we had Indian Hills on the schedule, Iowa Western, Western Nebraska, your Wyoming school, Sheridan was tough back then. And then from there, wasn't the best student, so had to bypass them D2 offers, them NAIA offers. I had like one D1 offers. That was Youngstown State at the time. And then finished up at Benedictine. At the time, we had probably like one of the best 2-year runs in school history until like kind of recently. We was 41-15 in 2 years, high school ranking at the time, national tournament our junior year, could have went our senior year. We know they expanded the tournament after I left. You know, we had a crazy good record that year. That's why I met these two brothers at. He was a young man as a freshman, I was a student assistant. And then from there, ABA, IBL, did a stint in the PBL, which was a really, really good league at that time. I would say it was probably like the third best league after the D League, obviously in the league. Played for a team in Rockford, then played for the team in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is part of the Canadian League now, still going on. Then had a short stint in Poland, and then played back-to-back seasons in Finland in the 2nd division. And then that was pretty much it.
All right, like I said, we glad to have you, and we about to get into it,
man. Glad to be here.
NBA All-Star Weekend is getting close. 2020 in Chicago.
Yeah.
Five made a post about it. I wanted to dig into it. Who are some of the players that are on the borderline of becoming an All-Star this year? Who shouldn't make it? One of those people, Trae Young, Atlanta. Do they have the worst record in the league? Worst record in the league. Trae Young is playing phenomenal basketball. And then you got in the Western Conference guys like a Brandon Ingram, who's having a breakout year. And
going to get paid. They going to max him now. They got to max him.
Got to.
And so people are wondering, should he be an All-Star? I just want to know how y'all feel. Hey, Will, we can start with you. Who do you, between those two, should they make it? And who, in your mind, are some other players that you got in?
I have to pick one of those two?
No, I'm saying, do you feel that either one of those should make it? And if so, like, you know, why? And then do you have any players that you think should make it out on the borderline right now?
So to answer your question, yes, they both should make it. One reason, they're both having phenomenal years. You know, I understand that their records aren't the best. New Orleans isn't where everybody probably thought they would be because of the Zion injury. And I think, you know, just Alvin Gentry is not a good coach.
Everybody been hurt though there.
But I'm just saying, that's true. But I think with the talent they have and what people maybe projected them to be, they haven't lived up to it. And, you know, I think it comes down to coaching and, of course, injuries. But Alvin Gentry is not the greatest coach to me. And then, but Brandon Ingram has been balling. Like, this was his year to really show what he had, and he's done it from the beginning of the season. Trae Young has been having a terrific season. And I think Trae Young also needs to make it for entertainment. Like, we can't forget the All-Star game is entertainment. So, like, sometimes it's not just about you having a great season. Like, the fans want to see the stars. And Trae Young is a star in the making. He's a league pass alert player. So, yeah. Another person I'm going to say is...
I like that, league pass alert.
Bam, I don't know. Bam.
Adebayo.
There you go. Him, I think he deserves it.
Bam's been playing well.
I think he deserves to make it, especially because Miami is a team
I'm looking at it now. They second in the East,
Yeah,
30 and 13.
So nobody expected that, right?
Yeah.
And then Jimmy, I know from what I've been seeing is Jimmy hasn't really been playing every game. You know, like he's been injured a little bit or sitting out. So for them to be 30 and 13, they gotta have at least.
I mean, they run their offense through him. Like at that high post, underrated passer. He even gets to bring the ball up off the rebound sometimes. Like, so no, you're right. He been fantastic.
Yeah. So those would be my 3 that I think are most deserving of going.
Okay.
I mean, he named the other person you could probably throw out there is Booker. Devin Booker's been sensational for Phoenix. They're one spot ahead of the Pelicans. Actually, right now, they all kind of right there bunched up as I look at the standings right now. Yeah, they're 18 and 25, so they're technically 2 games behind for the AC, so they're in contention. I think with Trae Young, if the fans vote him in and he's played enough games and he has the stats and he's been great, then I'm cool with it.
Okay.
I think the other spots are regulated to the media and the coaches voting everybody else in. So it's kind of tough to say he shouldn't belong. I get what everybody's saying about the winning aspect of it, but he's been, it ain't because of him.
Right.
It hasn't been because of him. Now, we know the defense, he got to get a little bit better on. He got to compete. You know, you got to be a better team defender. But I would say Booker most definitely. Bam, I'll give you another guy that's been great. I've been speaking of Domantas Sabonis for Indiana.
Okay.
He's, to me, the example of a prototypical big for this era.
Okay.
Because he could pick and roll, he can pop, and he's not afraid to still go down on the block when he has smaller matchups and give you some block work as well. So I would give him some love because they've done that with Oladipo.
Yeah.
Brogdon has been out. Yeah. And for them to be sitting 6, I mean, they 28 and 16. Like, he's a major reason for that. To the point where sometimes, depending on the matchups, they close with him. And Miles Turner don't necessarily be out there.
Yeah.
And they paid Miles that, and they got him on a good contract. So I give Sabonis some love. That's pretty much.
What about Zach LaVine? I've been seeing some posts about Zach LaVine. And with being in Chicago. So I'll put it this way. Do you feel like the hosting city of Chicago needs somebody in the All-Star game?
When you put it like that, I say yes, because why not, right? But when you actually break it down and I look at it, he's like, I don't know. I don't know if I would take him over Bradley Beal.
Let me tell you something about that.
Okay.
So I asked somebody this question. I'm like, you're from Chicago. You're a Bulls fan. Would you rather see Derrick Rose in the All-Star game, or would you rather see Zach LaVine?
Yeah, I've been seeing that. Yeah.
Right? So you have,
I'm going with Rose.
I mean, I would think a Chicago person would rather see Derrick Rose in the All-Star game before Zach LaVine. So that kind of speaks volumes from just the entertainment side of it.
Yeah.
So then you start looking at numbers, and the numbers are somewhat similar.
Yeah.
Like Rose is not probably far off. He's averaging about 20 a game. Probably around the same amount of assists. Probably a little bit more on the assist side than LaVine. So
I wouldn't be mad if Rose gets a nod. I mean, Rose, he been hooping. LaVine, when you watch him, and then people say, well, what's the difference between Trae Young? Just a lot of empty points for me. Like a lot of empty stats some nights. And it's like, man, and I was disappointed because I had the Bulls making the playoffs this year.
I did too.
I thought the Pelicans were 2 teams that you had the young rookies, you had solid veterans, you brought in Thaddeus Young, you brought in Saransky. I thought Otto Porter was a little overpaid, but I thought, okay, solid role player. I thought Markkanen was going to take a step, Carter. But a lot of nights with Zach, I mean, I don't know, it's close. It's close for me. I don't know if he's going to get voted in. He's going to have to get in off the strength of the coaches and media, and I don't know if it happens. I don't know if it happens. What about you?
Trae Young, definitely. I'm not a fan of team success being a part of who should make All-Star teams. Like, I will go back to when the Atlanta Hawks had 4 players make the All-Star team. And Kyle Korver was one of them. Yeah. Kyle Korver should not have that on his resume. He should not have been an All-Star. There's definitely other individual players playing better than him, more deserving on losing teams. But like you said, it's about entertainment. Trae Young, you can argue, is arguably playing the best at the point guard position in the Eastern Conference. He deserves to make the All-Star team.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram deserves to make the All-Star team. He deserves to make the All-Star team this year. My wild card though, and sheesh.
Cause I did a vote. Like I actually.
Oh, you did a vote?
Yeah, you gotta participate. So for the West, I had Harden and Luka. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I had AD and LeBron.
Okay.
And then I had Gobert.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you gotta watch Utah play, man, to watch his effect on. Like, it's crazy, man, how teams. And somebody put a clip on Twitter, then it kind of just went all over the place when that Brooklyn possession where they just could not attack the rim at all. Like, he showed on the pick and roll, was in the paint. And then in the East, I had to reward Kemba. Boston's been playing well. I had Kemba, Trae Young, Giannis, Pascal Siakam, who was one of my MVP candidates coming into the season. I had Jimmy. I gave Butler the nod.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about Siakam. I like Siakam as an All-Star. I don't think he.
Is he back?
No, I'm saying
He
as
back.
far as starting,
Just
will he
came
get
back.
the starting nod though? Yeah, the fans front court.
Yeah, the fans loving him.
Yeah.
I was
Well, he's
surprised.
like, yeah.
I was surprised. He like
Man.
2, I think.
International
He is.
too.
Yeah.
International too. He's gonna get the African vote.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, which is a legit thing now. Like, that's real.
The Canadian vote,
Yeah,
and then he's also gonna get the American vote too.
yeah, yeah.
He's got 3 different, nationalities backing him up.
Should anybody from Philly make the All-Star team?
Actually, that's actually my dark horse.
Okay.
I think Tobias Harris has been their most consistent player all season long.
Ooh.
I will say this: the numbers might necessarily put him over the top over somebody like a Beal or Trae Young or even a Zach LaVine. He's averaging a little under 20 a game, a little under 7 boards, like 6.9, 6.8. But he's been their most consistent player. He's probably their best perimeter defender outside of maybe Josh Richardson.
You don't like the rookie?
Thibault? I like Thibault. He's long, athletic. He can block shots and he can guard on the perimeter. I just think Tobias is like a two-way guy, right? Like he gets it done on the offensive end and he's gonna play some defense too. But I think, Ben Simmons has had his ups and downs this year.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would
Nah.
disagree with that. Embiid's been hurt lately.
Yep.
He had a tough start to the season, and I feel like Tobias has been there all year long.
27-3. I can get behind that.
Yeah, and it's like,
I can get behind that.
and I think Philly needs to be rewarded, right?
Yeah.
They're in intention where they're sitting
29-16.
They're sitting at what?
That's gonna be in the East.
They 5th right now.
They fifth right now. They're battling with Boston for home court.
Man,
advantage.
I'm
Also
gonna
battling
push
with
back a
Toronto,
little
too.
bit on 5, man, because I've been paying attention to Philly because I had them coming out the East.
Right.
I thought that starting 5 with the size, because I thought even though Butler was a better player, I thought Richardson would be a better fit for them. And then he gets hurt, has the hamstring. And then as I was coming over, he hurt the same hamstring again. Then it would be nice when Tobias would be like, okay, yeah, I see the contract. Then it'd be nice to be like, I need you to show up. And then the whole Ben Simmons and Embiid dynamic is so crazy because they don't fit. I don't think it's necessarily their fault. I think Brett Brown could be a little bit more creative, but they so polar opposite, man. And it's not surprising now that Embiid is out. Simmons has taken off because it fits the. And I don't think that's saying they better with Simmons and not Embiid because I think if Simmons goes out, then Embiid would take off. It's just such a weird team.
Yeah, Horford's a little better on the perimeter than Embiid. I know everybody likes to say that Embiid can stretch the floor at times, but Horford is a legit threat from not only just the three-point line, but also the mid-range areas on the floor. I mean, so it's going to open up the floor for him a little bit more.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I always said that if they started all 5 of them, they would have struggles. That playing Horford and Embiid at the same time is never going to give Simmons the lanes, the floor spacing that he needs. They looked their best last year when they started. What's the guy from that's on the Bucks now?
Ilyasova.
Ilyasova. They had Ilyasova, and they had the shooting guard that's now on the Spurs. I don't know why the names are Bellinelli.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They used to have, when they had Bellinelli, Ilyasova, Embiid, Simmons out there all at the same time. Simmons looks so comfortable. He's got wing guys. He's got shooters. He's able to spread the floor.
Yep.
You only got one big. You only got one true big because Ilyasova is an outside, really in type player.
Yep.
So he looked his most comfortable in that environment. This environment right here, like Richardson needs the ball to be effective, even though he can shoot it a little bit. Tobias really needs the ball. He really likes the mid range a little bit more than he likes the three.
Yep.
And two bigs on the floor. They gotta break that up. And the reason why they probably are number 5 instead of 2 or 3 is because they don't have a bench.
They don't have
a bench.
No, they don't.
They got Thibault, Mike Scott.
They got the shooter coming off the bench.
They don't scare nobody.
They don't scare anybody. They're trying to get Trey Burke some run.
I just thought when we got to the playoffs and it slowed down,
that 7-8 man rotation, that started.
Day 5, and you talking about legitimately can somebody beat that 5 4 times? I thought it'd be enough to kind of get them,
and it might be
out the East. But watching them play, man, and Horford has not been the same this season. He just hasn't been the same. And then Embiid can shoot it, but that's a large man. Pause. Like that's a, you know what I mean? Like I don't think we want him
shooting
all the time. Like it's cool to mix it up, but like we need him down in that elbow. We need him on the block. And I'm not talking about just necessarily like how Barkley and them talk about it, because you know they stuck in wherever they stuck at. But you know sometimes I'd rather see him dog that out at times. Give me a good quarter of that, just a good quarter, and then we can get back to spacing it out. But I don't know if they get anybody because they've been so. To your point, yeah, Tobias has been, but even he's been kind of just. I think he's played.
Steady. He's steady.
He's been much better.
Super high and super low.
Yeah. So
let me ask this question: do y'all think the All-Star game should remove the front court, back court, and just pick the 30 best players? So you pick your 15 in the East, 15 in the West. It don't matter what position. Like so, if it's because if it's about entertainment. And the way they do it now, it's not East versus West. It's, two captains.
Pickup game.
Right. So make it more of a pickup game. Because in some pickup games, you don't have a big man, right? You might go out there and it just be 5 guards. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we get further and further away. Like you can't. Front court, back court needs to be there. I think it needs to be there because
my fear is, do we value the big man enough? So does Jokic should be there, but does he get there? Like how do we? You know what I mean?
I just feel like if Jokic, so we can all sit here and say Jokic is one of the top 15 players in the West.
I think he's the best center in the league.
But I'm just saying.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jokic should make it, right? And if he's the only big, he won't be the only big because you still got Anthony Davis.
Right.
Anthony Davis is still top 15. Rudy Gobert will be top 15. And that might be it. Like,
right.
When you're looking at the West. Now, if you go over East, you might not have any bigs. But, to select from. But again, it's still a selection. So you might end up with a team with 2 bigs, one with 1 big, whatever the case may be. Or you might have a team with all 3 of them on that. Pick your poison.
I would just fear the fan vote in that.
Okay.
Fans normally gravitate towards guard play, scoring, threes. So, is the fans going to vote like a Jokic as a starter, who he should be a starter?
Right.
Maybe Gobert should be a starter. Are those fans going to vote those people in? I don't think they would.
Because I know we're going to talk about it in a minute with my list, but you see it even with the all-time greats.
Yes.
They don't value the bigs at all.
Yeah. No,
that would be my only fear, that, like you said, because really, Embiid in the East, then after that it gets real shaky in the East.
Yeah.
It falls off a cliff.
You probably got Bam. You probably put Bam in there.
I'm sorry, Bam, and then we said Sabonis gets some love.
Vooch?
I'm just naming big men.
Is he a top 15 player in the East, though?
Orlando's in the playoffs.
He's got them on the 8 seed right now.
But again, we talking about top 15.
You can make a legit argument if we sat down and made a list. He ain't outside the top 20.
Yeah.
He might be.
He borderline.
And that's cool. I'm just saying, if we just get, you do 15 on one side, 15 on the other.
Interesting fun fact. I just looked this up yesterday, and I wasn't trying to do this on purpose.
Studious.
I did not know Vucevic got drafted by Philadelphia. I did not know he got drafted by the 76ers. He played a year.
He played with them?
Played a year with the 76ers when they had Lou Will.
Wow.
You did some research.
No, I was looking at
Studious.
Let me get y'all the
Flashback
back.
to
Because I want to know, like,
Hey.
what made you look up at him out of all people? Like,
Let me. So I was trying to tell somebody that. Okay, I was trying to tell somebody that Lou Will, Pat Bev, and Harold are some of the most overhyped role players I've ever seen.
I agree.
So I wanted to see how many times that Lou Will actually make it out the first round
Okay.
as an NBA player. One of those years was with Philadelphia. Was the year when Rose got hurt and they beat the Bulls in the first round.
And Vooch was on that
So I
team.
looked up the roster.
Nice.
I looked up the roster, and I was like, "Oh wow! Like they have Vucevic on this team." I was like, "I did not know he got drafted."
And that was right before they started tanking.
Yep, and they traded him in the 14 trade where Dwight Howard went to the Lakers. Bynum went to the 76ers.
Wow.
Yo, oh, you were doing some research.
I was doing research.
You was doing some research.
Yeah.
Random fact. Sorry, I didn't want to.
No,
I had no idea. I was like, wow. I was like, dang. I was like, you telling me the 76ers gonna have Vucevic
Hey, man.
on their team?
I respect that kind of.
Hey,
That's the kind of research
hey,
I be doing. I be looking to
that's
see
the
like
type of
who's
content
shooting
we
the
like to
most
see.
the most
that's how-
mid range and all that kind of stuff.
And that's how he
Yeah,
got to Orlando.
I am
And that's
Wow.
I forgot about that.
thoroughly
You right.
impressed.
All right, listen.
I didn't
Y'all-
even
this
remember that
research-
trade. Like,
y'all
I
not
didn't
the
even
only
remember
one.
that trade.
Y'all not the only one. I don't remember. I didn't remember it either. So I was like,
Wow.
because I saw that 1 year he had with Philadelphia. I'm like, what? I'm like, he was on this team.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me go.
Was
do some
Iggy
research.
gone?
Iggy was in the trade to Denver. That was a 14
Right.
trade. It was a
Yeah.
14 trade.
Okay, so that was
So who was the fourth team? Because you said
The
Philly.
Nuggets, the
Okay.
Magic,
and the
the
Lakers.
76ers, and the Lakers.
Okay.
It was a 14 trade. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
Yes.
Real quick though, you didn't Trae Young and Brandon Ingram. You think they should make it?
I would say yes. I wouldn't be mad if anybody said no, though. So they have the stats, right? But I could go back to a lot of years where a lot of players like had the stats and
It came down to
they
wins.
couldn't, and it come back to wins and losses, and we said no. Like, right? Like I could go back to some of Steph Curry's like early years, like, and people
I mean,
forget
let's
like
be-
his stats. Were,
Let's
like,
be honest.
still great.
That's a position right there. Steph's not playing. KD's not playing. That's two spots right there.
And that's why I think Ingram should play, right? Because the forward position now in the West has dropped off, right?
Yeah.
So no Draymond this year, no
Yup.
KD,
Yup.
Paul George isn't going to make it.
Yup.
He hasn't
Right.
played
That's
enough
another
games.
person.
Yeah. Cat been hurt.
Cat
Been
been
hurt. Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean, you can just look at the votes for the front court. You look at these players, it's like, outside of LeBron, AD, Kawhi,
Yeah.
Jokic.
So it's a weird year.
yeah.
even in the East, right? Kyrie's missed a bunch of games.
But he's still getting voted
Probably
in.
Spencer,
crazy.
probably
You know he gonna
Dinwiddie
get
should make it over Kyrie.
If you honest,
really wanna be
I agree.
honest.
I agree.
Kimba's numbers are down, but he's gonna make it because of the team that he plays on. But to me, also, that's a great thing that I really wanted to bring up. When you play on great teams, and you brought it up too, and I love this. So you talked about how the Hawks had 4 players. I agree. Korver shouldn't have made it. But when you talk about Teague, when you talk about Millsap, and you talk about Horford on that team, like they were the engines behind that team, and they had the #1 record in the league,
Yeah.
and they need to be celebrated, right?
Right.
It's going to be the same thing with Boston this year, right? You're going to have Tatum. Tatum numbers are actually up a little bit, but Kimba's
Brown.
numbers are down.
Yeah.
Like they're not down like crazy.
No, I know what
but,
you mean.
they're a little bit down from what he
Brown's
used to
been
bring
great
to the
too.
table.
Playing with
Brown's
better
been playing
players.
great, but when you play with better players, your numbers are gonna go down and your wins are gonna go up. But that doesn't mean you still shouldn't be celebrated as an all-star.
That's true.
So that's
I agree
one
with
thing.
that.
So if I was vote, I would still vote Trae in because he's been spectacular. Like for him to do the things that and still get the assists too. I think that's the crazy part. Like on that team and still be able to get double-digit assists.
Collins missed 25 games.
Yes, suspension.
Herter was hurt. Cam and Hunter, rookies.
He's playing with 2 rookies in the lineup.
I mean, Vince is getting like significant minutes. I mean, he's being productive for his age, but I mean, come on, Vince is getting significant. That to me says it all.
Yeah, right.
Even Fernando, the guy from Maryland, another rookie.
Started today.
Yep.
Yeah, see,
Started today.
So-
Fernando started today.
29, 5, and 9.
Yeah, that's tough, bro.
Absolutely should be on the All Star.
And how many points are they losing by?
Well, he ain't playing tonight. But today, how many?
We watched
They down 6 right
I
now.
mean, we watched the game yesterday. Well, not yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh, they played.
He had 42.
Yeah.
Right? And they were losing by 17 like 3 minutes ago. They made a push to make the game.
Was that the
look
Raptors
close.
game?
Yeah, that was
Definitely
the Raptors
was.
game. They made a push at the end of the game, which was a crazy ending. But they made it look better. But you get 42 and be down 17 with 3 minutes ago?
Yeah, I watched that game too.
That really doesn't
yeah.
have much to do with your performance.
Nah.
So I want to switch gears. We kind of talked about it with some of these teams right now. We got the trade deadline coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Like teams like Philly, who we talking about need to improve their bench. What teams need to make a move to get to that next level, championship level, deep in the playoffs in the NBA? I mean, you're looking at I've seen like the Lakers and Philly have been interested in trading for Derrick Rose. I mean, who needs to make a move? I read today that the Bucks are interested in Dylan Bledsoe. So which one of these teams? I mean, you got Philly, Milwaukee, you got the Lakers.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I threw out the Derrick Rose to Philly in my own podcast like 3 weeks ago. I just thought it was an obvious move. His salary is $7.8 million. You're not giving up a bunch of cap space. You get another ball handler, another player who's playing well. The Lakers, I'm not sure. Because if you're talking about LeBron down the stretch and maybe even closing with him, I don't know how Rose is tricky with the Lakers. Me personally, I don't think the Lakers need anybody per se. That's how I know this stuff be rigged. This whole Stephen A. Smith Booker for Kuzma, like he been coming to the league too long to be just saying that kind of crazy stuff. First of all, the salaries don't even match. Phoenix is hanging. They're not even answering the phone on that trade. But I think Kuzma, if they embrace him, that's your third score of the Lakers. So I think the Lakers will stand packed. I think Denver, though, I watched them play the other night without Murray, and I like Murray. I think this year's a good year, a big year for him. But, man, it was a lot of Will Barton at that point, man. And I like Will, but a lot of Will Barton, a lot of Morris at that point guard position. So do they pull the trigger on Drew Holiday? And I think it comes down to if Drew says he wants to stay or not, because now that's a nice roster. If you're going to max out Ingram, Zion, Ball's played well when he's healthy, Favors is played. I mean, that's a decent roster. So maybe, but everybody else, I don't know. Because I even saw today, it was like, well, Houston's looking at maybe trying to get Mike Conley. And that, I had Mike as the fourth best point guard in the season. That blew up in my face. So I don't know who says yes to that. You know what I mean? So
Mike
what?
Conley for who?
I guess the way I look at it, like, what are the realistic moves for players out there? Like, are we just trading to be trading? I don't know if there's anybody realistically.
I'm with that.
Because they just signed Bledsoe to that
Yeah.
contract. So I'm surprised they even throwing his name out. That's what, 80 mil? 4 years, 80 mil or something, 60 mil, something like that. So I don't know. What you think?
I just feel like no team, I'm with you, Zach, where you said don't be trading just to trade. Like, I feel like a lot of times that happens during the trade deadline. Like, teams just trade to trade. Like, I'm either trying to shed salary or I'm trying to, like, improve my roster a little bit, and the improvement never really works out for the team. The way they think it's going to pan out. And with the way the league is right now, I still feel like it's wide open. Like, no team has really, like, ran away with it to where it's like, okay, when you had Golden State, it was like you had to add shooters. You had to add some sort of defense. Now you don't have to do that. Like, it's even across the board. So that's truly how I feel. Like, it's all the way even across the board.
I mean, or if you realistically look at it right, it's going to be a showdown in LA, barring some crazy injury or something. So you asking yourself, do we mortgage our future with cap? This is how I look at trades, with cap space, if we know we can't beat those guys? Or do we make kind of fringe moves like what Portland just did to get underneath the luxury tax? Because after this year, you got another free agent class coming out. That's crazy. So, like, I think all that kind of comes into play a little bit. Like, are you legitimately going to beat that? Now, if you're in the East, you might be able to legitimately say, if you Boston, if you're, I love Toronto. I don't think they need to do anything. But if you like Boston, maybe Indiana, you might be able to say, but who? Who you think? I mean,
I personally think I'm with you with the Derrick Rose to Philly. I think that's a no-brainer. I think that helps them out tremendously because then you bring Ben Simmons out with Derrick Rose and have the ball in his hands, where he's the most effective. I think that gives him a different type of dynamic, and we've seen him. He's comfortable now in his role. Like Derrick Rose is like he can still give you the 25 to 30 minute range, and hoop with the best of them, right? If the Milwaukee Bucks can get an upgrade from Eric Bledsoe.
But what would the
I don't know, but if they can, I am all for them trading him. I've said this I've said this over and over again. They got Eric Bledsoe. He has done nothing when it matters the most.
But my thing, so that's the thing. Like, we can all agree that he probably doesn't fit their system, right? But if you're saying they have to trade him to get an upgrade, like we got to be able to tie a person to that upgrade.
Well, I'm saying if they can.
But
I mean,
what would be the person? Because it's like if you're the Milwaukee GM, who are you going after that says these 5 people are better than this one person I have? So if I call these 5 teams and they hang up the phone or they are willing to talk, right? I'm okay with it. And if I come back and I don't get one of these 5, I just go back to the team or my owner and say, hey, look, these were the 5 guys we picked. None of them were there. We decided to stay pat.
I mean, I'm looking at it now. He's 4 years, $70 million.
Chris Paul.
He's 16.8 next year, 18.1 the year after that. Like, who's trading for that? That's why I think it's a unique year. I don't think we see any more big deals. I think we might see some fringe moves, some salary dumps, a couple picks here and there, but
like the Lakers might get Iguodala. You know what I'm saying? Might.
I don't even think that's gonna happen.
But Memphis ain't a bum
not-
organization.
yeah,
they
that's what
looking
I'm
like
saying.
y'all not gonna just fleece us for them.
And that's what I'm saying.
We want
That's
some
why I said
stuff.
Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're gonna be in a bind come the deadline because either you trade them or you're gonna just lose out because this deal's over with at the end of the year. So they're gonna kind of be on the bind. They're gonna have to move them. Right? Because otherwise you're gonna get nothing if you don't trade them by the deadline.
But I mean, like, do you trade him for him to go somewhere and get waived and help a contending team, or do you just stick it to the contending team and say, listen, we'll eat this salary this year, we lose it anyway next year. Wherever he goes as a free agent, he goes.
I mean,
right?
it's gonna make you better as an organization. Like, I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies have title hopes this year, right?
No, they don't.
So if you trade him to a team, they're gonna give you a first round draft pick for next year, and to go along with your draft pick, and you think this is gonna make you better in 2 or 3 years down the road, yeah, absolutely. You pull the trigger, even though he's gonna get waived,
Right.
and he's going to go to a Lakers. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, that was probably only got like 1 or 2 more years.
Right.
And then, it's a wrap. And, if you're playing for 3-4 years down the road, like, you'll ultimately win in the long term. It might not look like you won right away. Just like the Pacers deal, the Pacers Thunder deal, right?
Yeah.
Everybody said that the Pacers got fleeced, right? They gave Paul George away for
Sabonis
peanuts
and,
and pennies,
yeah.
right? And then Sabonis now is one of the best bigs in the league. And when Oladipo has been healthy, he's been
He was also
a franchise player.
Yeah,
He's been a
right.
franchise player.
Right.
So, I mean, you never know. It might look right then and there when you make that deal that you lost.
You never
3
know
or
what's
4,
gonna
yeah.
happen.
I think the
3 or 4
one to
years down
watch, and it's mainly for the future, is the Clippers. Because they're not going to pay Harold. I'll be surprised if they pay Harold.
They're going to have to max him out, too, I think. I think it's
And
gonna be close.
it's going to be close. So it's like, do you move him now and get something?
But that
Because
that,
if he walks, I don't think they're going to pay him. I don't think they're going to max him.
But who do you go get that gives you what Hero gives you?
I don't think they ever look at it like that. I think they figure if we're healthy and we get one competent player back in that,
They still can win.
and we get some draft picks,
Okay.
because they got the ultimate Yoda over there in Jerry West.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
ultimate Yoda in
That's
Jerry
Gary Yoda.
West.
And-
So advising,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And Harold.
that would be the only one I would watch to see.
That's a good one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I felt like that was gonna be the case with the Pelicans too, right? I felt like if Ingram balled,
They would trade him.
if he's not balling, like, you trade him again, right? Like, you just trade him again because you're not gonna max him out. So get something while you can. But he's
now they
balling.
got it
But he's showing his worth now, so it's. I mean,
Yeah, they still
they
can do it.
They still can do it. If they really wanted to. If they feel like he's not a franchise player.
So I read that the
keep
Pelicans
Zion.
aren't trying to do anything because they feel like now that they're getting healthy and getting Zion back, that they can make a playoff push.
I could see that because David Griffin is down there.
And it's Gentry's job on the line too.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
His job should be gone.
And I think Griffin likes Ingram. If I remember him being on ESPN when he would talk up in the Lakers, you know all they show was Lakers. And I think what they was waiting to see is how serious was the blood clot issue. Because remember, he had, and I think they was like, okay, if he gets through that, then he should be good to go. So I think they were high on him the whole time. They just wanted to see. And then I had a little cheat code. There's a guy I follow on Instagram. He actually interviewed Ingram's trainer. And Ingram, he was talking about, like, people forget, like, LeBron showed up, that kind of messed this up. Then he had so I didn't have a chance to work with him, but before that, if you look at it, he was kind of coming on, starting to kind of get adjusted a little bit. And he was saying, like, he was able to get back with him this summer. They was able to get some work in. So he kind of said in so many words that they were waiting to see how the clock was. And now that it looks like he good, I don't think they move him.
No.
So no teams making any big moves this deadline.
I don't think so.
I don't think so this year.
I'm on the opposite end of that.
Boy, it's about to go down.
I think
we about to get that Woj bomb. You gonna be like, dude, we never saw this coming. And
But
then,
I just feel like I get what y'all saying, but I just want to say in my disclaimer, I just feel like, is it a move that's gonna take you over the top either this year or the next 2 years? Because even if it's not this year, we gotta remember KD is coming back next year. Clay is coming back. Steph is gonna be healthy. You know, like the Warriors are gonna make another push. Shit. I mean, you might have Boogie still in LA, so now you have a healthy Boogie to pair with LeBron and AD. You know, so it's still, I don't know, man.
here's why I think. Outside of the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks, I'm gonna say every team feels like they're a player away from joining that group.
Okay.
I feel like,
Portland about to get nervous.
I mean, even Boston, like, I feel like Boston, like, first of all, Danny Ainge is never content.
That's true.
So you can just always just know that he's calling people, he's on the phone, he's trying to see what that next deal is. Philly seems to always make some type of deal at the deadline.
they need to.
They're gonna be another team. And I feel like every team in the West, I'm talking about 3 through 10,
Okay.
feel like they're a player away from joining that group. I feel like, of course, the Rockets and Rockets are another team that are going to be on the phone. They're gonna look for a deal. The Nuggets.
Who could you
They just
trick?
lost Plumlee. They just lost Plumlee for a couple weeks.
The Mavs.
The Mavs are the number one team that I think will pull the deal. I think if any team in the league makes a big deal for somebody, it's gonna be them. Mark Cuban knows that he sees it too, right? He sees Luka coming to his own. He's seen them contend with the Mavericks. Contend with the Clippers.
Yeah.
Contend with the Lakers. So he's gonna be on the phone too, looking for that next. I feel like all those teams think they're in the same boat though, and they're gonna. And this is a wide open year, right?
Yeah.
Wide open
Wide
year,
open,
right?
yeah.
There's no
Golden State split
there's
up.
no
They
Golden
hurt.
State.
Yeah.
There's no KD in the way. This is a wide open year. Everybody's gonna try to take advantage this year.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna lose sight of the future. I really do. I really think people are gonna lose sight of the future as of right now, because of the parity that is in the league right now, and because some of these players are out. I mean, I just think everybody's gonna try to go for that gold right now. I think, and it's been pretty quiet too. So y'all know what that means.
Oh, it's coming. That
Anytime
was
it's quiet.
That was bomb.
Anytime it's
We got
quiet,
what, 2
man.
weeks? We got 2 weeks?
We'll see.
Anytime it's quiet,
I
man.
don't see it. I don't think it's as open as we think it is.
What was
That's
that,
coming out of LA.
I think Portland's gonna make another deal too, man.
But they about to get Nurkic back.
They're gonna make another deal. They know they just made a deal with Ariza to get Ariza.
Yeah.
They know
Good pickup.
they need great pickup for them, great upgrade. But they know that they can't. You can't finish in the Western Conference Finals one year and barely make the playoffs
The next year.
the next year. Like
That's
you can't. Like as a GM, your job's gonna be on the line.
Yeah.
So that GM's gonna be on the phone looking to make deals.
I don't think Portland do anything. I think that deal was just to get underneath the luxury tax. And they was like, all right, we'll take Ariza back. We drafted Swan again.
But they
Like, that's
also got-
cool.
They got that if they get Nurkic back, they got that juicy Whiteside contract sitting there, right? People.
That is the wild card.
Yeah.
That is the wild card.
Man, people are going to be looking for that contract so they can dump it in the summer, so they can go after the class of 2020 free agents. Like that's a juicy contract for anybody that's looking to dump salary.
So let me ask you this one thing I did read before we go to the next subject. The Spurs, I've read that they're not against hearing offers for DeRozan. If you're a team out there right now looking for that one guy like you saying that could get you to the next level, what's a possible destination for DeMar DeRozan?
Does DeRozan get you to the next level? That's
That's the question,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I don't.
Well, I mean, somewhere that where he doesn't have to be the guy.
I mean, but does he get lost in the shuffle? Like, I feel like he only excels when he has to
Be the guy.
Like, he has to be the guy. Like, he can't be the second or third fiddle and barely getting touches. Otherwise, you're not gonna know he's on the floor.
Where could DeRozan go?
I just
Denver,
wanted to throw that out.
Denver,
there.
maybe?
That would be a good. They could use
Denver?
a guy like that.
Denver, I mean,
The only
up
reason
there
I
for
say-
Gary Harris. I mean, up there for Gary Harris.
Yeah, but I think the Michael Porter Jr. Jokic combination. I think I mean, you see what you got with them two before you go get a DeRozan.
That's years down the road, though.
He's $27 million this year.
DeRozan?
Can you even get enough contracts together to get there?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
I mean, well, they got that Millsap contract out there. I mean, that's $30 million.
Yeah,
I mean,
Whoa.
yeah.
I got that. And Millsap's deal is over after this year, so he's gonna be another salary dumper too.
They could use a guy like DeRozan.
I would like him with DeRozan. If you got that much trust in Porter, if you think you got somebody and you think you can dump Millsap,
Yeah.
'Cause they
But
need
when
a-
Millsap was out there though, he still anchors their defense, believe it or not.
he really does. Yeah.
So you almost saying like,
We giving up defense for offense.
yeah, like that's tough.
just an idea.
Yeah, it's going.
Just stay glued to your phone
I mean, you
and wait for the woes bomb because it's coming.
Let's go.
Just like when the Cavs blew up the whole roster and nobody
They-
D Wade went back to Wade County.
Yeah.
Rose was gone. Everybody was gone.
Something
Hey.
happened like that.
I mean, he definitely
Everybody.
on my Twitter
We
alert.
didn't talk about Kevin Love.
Oh,
But the problem is
His contract though.
his contract, and they've been asking for a decent amount. They don't know if they can get what they're asking for because they in a tricky situation. They obviously they going young. We know Sexton can play, but we know he's not the point guard there. Garland is settling in a little bit. We know he can play. Tristan Thompson is expiring. He's another one that I've heard kind of thrown out there. Boston has kind of come up in some stuff. We could move a couple pieces and maybe get a pick back. Bring that'd be a sneaky addition for them, but I don't know. I don't think it's. We'll see. It can go either way. I just don't think we're gonna see a lot of moves because some of the names we throwing, it's a lot of money. It's still a lot of money.
I agree.
you brought up with the Cleveland team though. I would not be surprised if Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love are both gone because they literally have.
Well, the
no-
only thing they're
no
saying
purpose.
is Love. Basically, is Cleveland gonna have they come to Jesus moment and say we're not gonna get what we want back from Love, and we're just gonna let him. Because you could tell he don't want to be there, man. Like he don't want to be there. So
They can hold teams captive because he has that extra year on this deal.
Yep.
So they don't necessarily have to move him this year. So
Yep.
They can try to see what they're gonna get back. Just like AD. Just like with AD. Like they felt like they could take their time with it. And you know
that's gonna be interesting. Because if the Lakers don't do what they supposed to do, I'm throwing it out there now on the Goodfellas podcast. Don't be surprised AD not there next year.
Your energy right now.
the lifestyle looks too great for him right now.
Oh.
I think he's really enjoying the Lakers.
I know a couple people, man. I'm just saying.
Hey.
Oh,
I'm just telling.
Anthony Davis.
Oh, that hurt my heart.
Anthony Davis is not in a Los Angeles Lakers uniform next year with LeBron James. I'm coming to get on myself.
I'm just
Get
saying.
a couple of knocks.
From what I heard, I'm not saying it's like it's a guarantee. It's gonna have to be some stuff that takes place, depending on how they make the finals, how deep is the run. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Sound like some insider information.
Well,
I understand.
Hey, alert you guy. Now let's talk about this list, man. Let's talk about this list, man. I'm intrigued about this all-time list that you came up with.
All right,
man.
go ahead. Let the people know who I have.
So I'm gonna just read these names off of Zach's all-time NBA list, which we're gonna dive into, dissect how he came up with the list, what was the criteria for the list. And it's interesting, you numbered it like this: 1A and 1B.
Yep.
Jordan, 1A, Kareem, 1B. Then you got LeBron, Magic, Wilt, Duncan, Bird, Hakeem, Shaq, Russell, Moses Malone, which I thought was an interesting one, and then we got Kobe. I am ready to talk about this.
You say that list again, bro?
All right. MJ, Kareem, 1A and 1B. Then you got LeBron, Magic, Wilt, Duncan, Bird, Hakeem, Shaq, Russell, Moses, and Kobe. Number one, what was your criteria for the list? Going into this list, like, how did you break it down?
Impact, championships, awards, then overall stats.
Okay.
So, and let me say this. When you get to this point, you could shuffle however you want to shuffle the order. I really think as I get older, it's kind of like about preference. But, man, on which day you ask me, depends on how I feel about if Kareem's number one or Jordan's number one, depending on what day you catch me on. Because Kareem is 6 league MVPs. 6 chips. All-time leading scorer. Rebounds. By year 4, he was already a 2-time MVP by year 4 of his career and a championship at that point. Jordan, I mean, we all from Chicago. Jordan speaks for itself. I had to put LeBron third. I just felt like at this point it's just too much. But for me, it's hard for him to crack those 3 because if I look at everything, and I'm not talking about the finals record as far as him losing, he got to explain 2011. Like, as a ball player, I've watched that finals. Like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen from an all-time great. He has to explain that.
Do you think the stage and the pressure was too big? Like, let me say this. Let me take it back, right? Take that back. Not the stage, but the pressure was too big. Because he had already been on that stage, right? And
Yeah.
he lost, he got swept. But it's different when you get to the stage and you go back and you remember the intro and practically like guaranteeing y'all were gonna win 7 NBA championships, right?
Yeah.
And then now you're there and it's like kind of like, shit, if I don't win, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is on me. You know what I'm saying? And he just went out there and he wet the bed. But like,
it could be. I don't know. I don't like to say that too much tongue in cheek personally because I have that much respect for them.
right.
And being a hooper myself, I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? Not obviously at that high level, but I know the work they put in. I know how hard it is to win championships.
Yeah.
But just watching it, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was just weird to watch. Even, and I don't want to get off into this rabbit hole, but even the Boston series when supposedly the Delonte West stuff took place, and then he just checked out the rest of that series for whatever reason. Even somebody like Kobe, Game 7 against Phoenix, you purposely don't shoot to prove a point, and y'all lose the series.
Yeah.
So when you're talking Jordan, Bird, Magic, Duncan, even, they didn't do stuff like that. They just didn't. So it's like, it's hard for me to ignore that as a basketball historian.
Right.
Like, that's what I majored in college, I think, and I approach that I look at everything. I'm a historian.
Right.
So everything matters. And I could look like at the top of my head, if you go look at the 93 finals, Jordan literally averaged 41 and almost 7 across the board. And even in that game 6, he scores every basket in the fourth quarter except for Paxton's 3. It was just like, so for me, when I looked at the list, Wilt, he's just too dominant. I don't care what era you playing. My wife always says you can't control when you was born,
Okay.
but did you dominate? Wilt and Shaq is unique because I personally feel like they underachieved. Shaq only gets 4 chips. Wilt gets 2.
Yeah.
With all that dominance, he gets 2. Russell won 11. So even if you say the era's too easy, so what? We take 5 away, or what? That's still 6.
Yeah.
Do we take 6 away? That's still 5. I mean, he still gets 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Bird is Bird. He averaged 20 and 10 for his career. If I had one game to win, I'm still taking Bird at the small forward over LeBron. That's just me personally. Duncan, and then when I redo this, because I heard an interesting podcast, they was debating using all the stats and everything, Duncan or KG. And we get so accustomed to just saying Duncan's better. It's a lot closer than I even realized. So I might have to go back, because I had KG like, I think, 13th or 14th, like somewhere. He in the top 15. So, but Duncan is Duncan. That speaks for himself. The one that's interesting is the Moses. So I went to Basketball Reference. 13-time All-Star. 6-time rebounding champ. We're not even looking at his ABA numbers, because remember, he came in the league in 19.
Right.
He went pro. 74, 75 when he comes to the NBA, all-rookie. 8-time All-NBA, 1 championship, 2-time All-Defense, 3-time league MVP, finals MVP when they swept the Lakers. And when he won I think he won the league MVP in back-to-back seasons with the Rockets in the early 80s. They lost in 1 year to Bird and them. So he's one of those guys that gets lost in history. If you look at his totals for his career, the points and rebounds is absurd. Like his points was, let me scroll over real quick. He's at almost 30,000 points. He's 29,850. His rebounds are absurd. He's almost at 20,000 rebounds. He's like 1785. So like he has the numbers to back it up. The only people that's going to make a push, and it depends on how they add to their resume, is going to be arguably Steph Curry, and it's going to be arguably Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Because I don't think anybody else from this era gets those other accolades to join that list. You can maybe say Giannis is on the doorstep. We'll see how his career. You could say maybe Kawhi, but I think he's permanently injured. That's why I think he has to load manage. I think whatever that quad thing was, I think he's permanently injured. So I don't think he gets there like that. I don't think Harden gets the accomplishments to get there. AD is kind of a wild card. We got to kind of see, but my gut tells me I don't think he gets there. So really, KD and Steph are the only two that probably knocks those guys out. I mean, so that's how I came up with my list. I know we got some Kobe fans in the building.
Let me ask you about Big O.
Man,
What was your? Because
I think he's 15 or 14. Big O, in a lot of ways, he's the Westbrook of his era, as far as the stats, but with a better head. Because that era was a lot like this era. That's why when people talk about, oh, they're shooting so much, they had so many possessions back then. If you go back and look at the stats, that's why, because if you look at Oscar Robinson's stats, you could take 3 seasons. If you just round his rebounds or assists off, he would have averaged triple-double for like 4 or 5 seasons. Like, if you go look at it, it's like it's insane because it was that many possessions. That's how Wilt was getting all them points. So you got to kind of put it in context. But he gets the 1 chip because he gets Kareem.
Yeah.
So it's like he one of those guys when the chips, I think I don't even know if let me pull up. I don't even know if he gets an MVP. I don't remember him getting, I think he gets 1.
I think he got 1.
I think he got 1. So when you look at those other guys, it's like,
okay.
yeah, he won in 63, 64, Rookie of the Year, 11-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Star Game MVP, 6-time assist champ. So, I mean, he has the other numbers, but those other guys, man, like, and again, you could argue on how you want to order them, but for me, that was my list. That was my criteria.
So I want to ask the Duncan KG.
I bet you do.
Duncan KG thing, because I am a KG fan, and I've always said that KG was better than Duncan. The only thing that to me that takes Duncan over the top is the fact that he's won 5 times, right? Like he played with the Spurs. Like, I'm not taking away from his game at all, but like you said, the numbers are very similar.
They are.
KG did it in Minnesota on a team where he was practically the guy, except for the 1 year where he had Cassell and
Troy Hudson and Anthony Peeler and
Wally Zerbiak.
Tom Gugliotta that didn't live up to it.
Joe Smith?
Don't roll your
Joe
eyes at
Smith.
Wally Zerbiak.
Oh,
Wiley had
I mean,
Wiley.
Malik Sealy
You know why I
tragically
hate?
passed
You know why I
away,
hate?
man.
You know why I hate Wally? Because Wally always tries to come at KG like
He don't try.
He comes at him like KG was just a scrub, G, and Wally act like he was just out there knocking down clutch bucket after clutch bucket.
I think you would like this pod. It's a nerdy. I ain't gonna lie, but shouts out to the brother because you don't see too many black guys on the analytics. You know, it's always the white boys. But he works for ESPN, does his own thing, and it's called Thinking Basketball. He actually has a good YouTube page as well, where he breaks down a lot of videos. But they had like a 2-hour pod.
Okay.
And they had came up with different stats to factor in the fact that Duncan played in San Antonio with better players, KG played. The numbers was so similar.
Yeah.
So at the end of the conversation, it was like a coin flip.
Yeah.
The one guy stuck with Duncan and I think the brother had KG.
Okay.
But it was so eerily close.
Yeah.
Like KG was a better free throw shooter. KG, the defense was crazier than Duncan's. Duncan probably gets remembered as a center if he goes to any other team. He only is a power forward because he came in the league with David Robinson.
Yeah.
But if you look at his numbers, he played the majority of his career
As a center. Yeah.
So they was breaking that down. You will lock it if you're a KG fan because I think we just, again, because it was the Spurs, great organization, and Coach Popovich, and he had 5 chips.
Yeah.
We just automatically just give it to Duncan. But after I listened to that pod, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, KG was a demon, man.
So let me ask another question then. We're gonna stay on the power forward topics, right? So we're arguing about Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett. Why does Karl Malone get lost in the mix, right? He's second all time in scoring, right?
It's funny you
he's
say
like-
that
he's
because
like-
they actually did the same thing. They did Malone, Barkley, and Nowitzki. That was an interesting one.
Dirk Nowitzki is a good one.
I mean, Karl Malone literally averaged 20 and 10 his whole entire career besides his last year in the league with the Lakers. The only year he's not averaged 20 and 10 for his career. I feel like he gets lost in the
I
mix.
feel like that's the Mike effect, the Jordan effect.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not to
See,
say
I
that
think-
it's
I
right,
think-
not to
I-
say that that's right,
And
but I feel like that's the Jordan effect of him getting to the ship 2 years in a row
And I win.
and not winning, and then I just feel like that's the
But
Jordan.
see, I think, and I get that right, but I also will say, like, I think, and this is why I think a lot of basketball fans, right, they just start looking at rings. Like, they become ESPN. They just become lazy. They don't do their research. Like, they don't, because it's like, oh, well, how many rings they got? Oh, they ain't got none? Okay, well, that automatically drops you, you know what I'm saying, to second place. And then, like, they start looking somewhere else. And it's like, okay, well, you know, you lost the mic 2 years in a row. Now you dropped to third place. Like, you forget everything that Karl did. You forget like, they had the best record in '98. He was the MVP that year.
His numbers is stupid. Like,
Yeah.
when you look at his numbers, it's stupid. I would ask you this, Jared. Not even going super deep. Is he a better defender than Duncan and KG?
I
No.
would say no.
Better pass.
Wasn't really explosive. He was a one-legged guy, kind of a one-trick pony playing downhill, going right, face-up jump shot. So I think when you get
And
to
John
those
Stockton.
other guys, are you necessarily saying, I think him and Barkley are so unique. Because I would argue, just from a basketball skill, they didn't really have a lot of moves. Especially Barkley. It wasn't no
I
moves.
feel Barkley was a more power guy.
He was.
But it was all
But I felt like-
strength and like, I'm just going to seal you and just...
I'm bigger than you.
But I felt like Malone was more skilled. Well, I shouldn't say more skilled than Barkley.
No, he
I mean,
was.
he was. I would say he's more skilled.
But
could
then
without
he's
the
not
ball.
there
He
with-
could play with the ball. Could face up. He could hit the jumper. He could attack the rim. I mean, he was still a great rebounder. I think his rebound. He's 10 rebounds.
Is it because he
his
played
career.
with John Stockton? That could be held against him too.
I want to go back to this Barkley thing,
I
though.
don't think so.
I mean, it could be.
I don't think so.
Because I mean, if you look at John Stockton is what, number 1?
I mean, dude, when you average 25 and 10 for your career, I mean, that's pretty. That's hard.
No,
to do.
I get that, but you have to. No, I'm with you on that.
It
What
helps.
I'm saying is,
I don't think it moves the needle
what
that
I
much.
think people
but if
can
you play
hold
with a
against
good
him,
point guard.
his whole career he played with John Stockton.
Yeah.
His whole career, like it wasn't except for LA, he played with John
I
Stockton.
mean, they
But does it? But to Zach's point, you can't really discredit Karl for playing with a great.
I'm with you, but I can see how people Cause
I
like
see
you
what
said,
you're saying,
like you
yeah.
said, how does he get lost? I can see how people might
And
take it
people-
into that
and
direction.
People forget now the NBA is based off of the style of basketball that they play.
Yeah, pick and roll.
Pick and roll game, right? It's
Point
literally
guard,
based-
point guard, power
They
forward.
literally,
Something.
they probably didn't start it obviously, but
Yeah.
they made it famous, and they're the ones that kind of sort of what perfected it.
Yeah.
sort of say. And,
I mean, well, that 1-4 high set, like that's still used when you hit the elbow, and then you get the UCLA cut. How many layups did Stockton and Hornacek get off of that?
off
So
the simple dump down.
I think it does matter. I just think if we were to say, not even being disrespectful, are we necessarily saying Carl had, even with the numbers, over, like, it's tough. Like KG, Duncan, even Dirk. Like, Dirk is insane. Like, when you really go back and look at it, we kind of, because he played for too long, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But prime Dirk, like,
I agree.
like, so
That makes
that's why I
sense.
said you can kind of nitpick some of this and make an argument. I wouldn't be mad at you.
I mean, Dirk to win a ring beat Kobe, Durant, Westbrook,
Harden,
LeBron,
Wade,
Wade,
Bosh.
and Bosh.
on his way
Prime
to-
Wade,
on his way to win a ring.
because
So-
Wade was still in his prime that season. There.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh no, absolutely. So I mean, no, Dirk was crazy, man. And Dirk was, but so let's go with the Dirk, right? So Dirk had Steve Nash at one point. He probably was better without Nash
Than he was with.
than he
Oh, he
was
was.
with Nash.
Because
Nash
Nash
was
takes
coming to
off
his
after
own,
that.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
last year it was kind of Nash we see. So I don't even.
So the Nash that we saw in Phoenix.
That wasn't the Nash in Dallas.
If that was the Nash in Dallas, does Dallas win the ring?
I think it was the same Nash. I think it was just a different
The system.
Different
He got
system.
unleashed.
And it was all about him. Like right, like the roller now becomes Boris Diaw, Amari Stoudemire. It's no longer.
But that's
it's no
what I'm saying,
longer.
like, if
I
he-
get the switch and then throw it back to Dirk.
And
in the
he was
post.
coming. We were coming out of that era.
Yeah.
And D'Antoni was kind of ushering in where we are now.
I
So
agree.
Nash, because remember, Mike Finley was on that team.
Yep.
So he got
Josh
ISO, Josh Howard, Nick Van Axel was
Yeah.
like a six
Yeah, he
man.
was 6 man.
So
They
like,
had that other.
it was a kind of still that old school ISO. Because now, as funny as it sounds, you thought Phoenix played fast then. They would actually be last in pace now. That's how fast it is
Wow,
now.
that's
Even
crazy.
in threes, like they'd be last.
That's crazy.
So Nash kind of benefits
That's crazy.
coming out of that
Transition.
trash and D'Antoni bringing that in, but those guys in that pod actually picked Dirk over
They picked
Barkley
Dirk over
and
everybody.
Malone. Yeah,
That's
Wow.
and I would say like again, just listen.
I
You
gotta
gotta
listen
listen
to
to
this.
this.
You said thing in basketball?
Yeah,
I
Dirk
gotta listen.
over.
Over Barkley and Malone.
I mean,
See,
I'm going back to the list. I guess.
And then they did a coin flip with Barkley and Malone. It
They
came
did.
down to preference. It came down to
I'm
preference.
taking Barkley.
I mean, I have Dirk over Kevin Garnett on my list. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm just gonna be 1,000% with you.
You can't touch him on that defensive end.
I
KG,
got
KG
Dirk.
can do
defense was
everything.
a force
But
of
I feel
nature.
like Dirk
But
was-
shoot threes.
I feel like Dirk was like a guard down the stretch of games. He was a guy you could rely on for 3 or 4 minutes down the stretch of games, and he could bring it home.
That's true.
I don't know.
But see,
if-
that's why I respect these kind of debates because the points you're bringing up are legitimate points.
That
And it
is
comes
it.
down to what your preference is.
I agree.
If you value a closer, no question, Dirk has that. KG was more of a facilitator sometimes down the stretch, and that could be his knock. But then you, like I said, you can make an argument. KG one of the few guys I see that literally can stop the pick and roll at the top, like damn near half court, and be at the basket when the pass is made.
I agree.
Like the stuff, like
Yeah.
it was next level stuff. But again, that was what I was trying to tell somebody with my list. Unless you're just saying some fluky stuff, like you can't really argue with the players I put on there. You just can't.
They interchangeable.
They interchangeable.
They also great, and they're great at different things.
Like Isaiah Thomas gets lost.
I actually have Isaiah on my list. I got him top 15. I got him 15.
I'm trying to find my list in my phone because I'm trying to remember where I had Zeke. You know, I know.
I got him right above Malone, actually.
Did I see that list? Did I see that list?
Yeah.
No, I'm not here to judge you on your list. I just want to see you were just referring to it.
The only person on this list that would change spot, that I would change spots with, is LeBron.
Okay.
Obviously.
I just
Well, you got LeBron.
Because this is your list
This
from what
list,
year?
I think I got
What year is this list?
2016.
2016,
I think I got
right?
LeBron like 12
Oh, man.
on this list. I would push him up. This is 4
What
years.
would you push him up to?
7 on that list.
You want to hear this list?
Yours?
No,
No, we don't want to
You
hear.
don't.
No,
You don't
not
lie.
right now. Not right now.
No, we don't want to hear.
Well, let me ask this
We
because
don't
I'm
want to hear
curious.
Boof's list.
Do you have a problem with how or who would you flip around on? Like, do you have an issue? Who would you flip?
The only
On your
person,
list?
only
Yeah.
person I have way higher, I got Kobe way higher. I got
Who
Kobe.
you taking out?
I got all right. So I'll go with my list. I'll tell you what my list is.
Okay.
I got Michael. I am on board with Kareem. Kareem gets lost in the shuffle. He is the only player that you probably could ever say could touch Michael on the all-time.
Could you say he's the best basketball player? Period.
Yep.
I mean,
From
high school,
to college.
college.
It's college and high school.
It's not an
absolutely.
if you can say it, you can.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You
He
can't, yeah.
gets lost in the show because he's a big man.
Right.
Let's just and because of the time frame that he played on, and some people would say that his style of basketball is a little boring to them just because he has the same move. But it's all about like you said, your preference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just getting the job done, you're getting the job done. And
Yep.
that's what Kareem did. So I had Kareem second. I had Magic third. I had Oscar fourth actually.
So are you asking Fad to change his list or just give you his
No,
list?
Just give him a list.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
just
okay.
curious.
I got Oscar fourth. I got Kobe fifth. I would push up LeBron to sixth. I got Duncan at 7, Shaq at 8. I got Bill Russell at 9, Wilt at 10, Larry at 11, and Hakeem at 12. And then right after that, I got Moses Malone and Isaiah Thomas.
You had Hakeem 12.
I would have Hakeem 12. Listen, Hakeem is dynamite to me. But I would have Larry Bird obviously ahead of him. Just like you said, you can't change what time you were born, right?
Yeah.
So Wilt and Bill both to me are going to be a little higher just because of what they did for the game. Bill was a winner.
Yeah.
He's gonna be he's one of the best defenders that we've ever seen play the game. And he's one of the best rebounders too. I think they get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Right.
The Finals MVP is named.
This is what I brought.
Shot blocker.
Because I knew for my list. So Balls is Life, shout out to them. I'll screenshot this. This is Hakeem the Dream. 1990, he had a game of 18 points, 16 rebounds, 11 blocks, 10 assists.
Yeah, quadruple double.
The same year, 29, 18, 11 blocks, 9 assists, 5 steals. 87, 38, 17 rebounds, 12 blocks, 7 steals, 6 assists. 89 again, 32 points, 25 rebounds, 10 blocks. 86, 34 points, 22 rebounds, 7 blocks, 5 assists. Then 86, 26, 12, 11 blocks, 7 assists. 26 points, 20 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 blocks.
That's crazy.
90 again, 34 points, 20 rebounds, 8 steals. 90 again, 37 points, 25 rebounds, 5 blocks. Then 90 again, he had a 52.18 rebound game. Magic won the MVP that year.
Stuff.
I mean, what? At center, 8 steals? That's like you playing in a rec league or something.
I feel like him and Shaq put up those type of ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
Let's go back and look at it and be like, this really happened?
But
I think
Shaq
that
never led the
nobody
league in
remember.
rebounding,
Never led
which
the league.
bothers me. Oh, that bothers me.
I seen something the other day, and it showed the game where Jordan scored 55 against the Magic. He had 55 and something. Shaq had had 20,
36.
20.
Yeah,
He
some
had
so
20, 20. It was just wait a minute. I don't even remember that happening.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But those two are those type of players to me. They put up video game numbers.
Yeah.
And they were normal. Nobody would get bug eyed over them, or everybody would just look at it oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
They're supposed to do
that. I guess they're supposed to do that. I mean, see, back then people thought that since you were big and tall and you were strong, that you were supposed to do that, right? It wasn't anything miraculous.
Right.
You were supposed to do that. You're bigger than the tall than everybody. You're strong.
But those of us who hoop,
You know how hard it is.
How hard it is to find a competent, decent, big guy. There's a
Oh,
lot
my
of
God.
guys that's just walking around tall, bro. Can't catch,
For no reason.
can't rebound.
Oh,
Reverse pivot.
can't look. Can't do a basic move.
Or I'm somebody that, as it got towards the older part of my career, when we was playing more pick and roll, I valued a big that knew how to set screens on the ball
Oh,
screen.
they don't know how to set
Know
that.
where to set it, how to read it. Man,
I'm in a roll.
that's why I'm kind
How
of
to
high
roll.
on big men more
Not
than probably
winning,
more
just
people,
high.
because I don't think people realize like it ain't just them being big and tall. It ain't a lot of good big men.
It's not.
I don't care what level you play at. If you get to a halfway competent big man, your team is going to be decent.
I agree. I agree.
Let me ask you this on your list. Do you feel Bron could pass Kareem? So is he stuck at 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know he on some you know, he very man is so smart. He not low managing anymore because he knows his only shot to really solidify himself as the GOAT is to become the all-time leading scorer. So he knows he has to feast on these other teams to kind of get his numbers while they still win. Because I don't care what he said. I thought it was hilarious. Like, bro, you took 2 weeks off in Cleveland. Like, he sometimes be talking like we don't remember the stuff he says.
It's
That'd be my
Oh, yeah.
That'd be my only issue with him as a great sometimes. Like, he be talking like, Brian, we not stupid. Like, I remember what you said, bro. So, but me, I don't think he passes those 2. Those guys in those moments, Jordan could have went 0-6.
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna say Mike did not show up. Like, you just not gonna say that.
Yeah.
And then Kareem is Kareem.
Yeah.
They say, well, he didn't win until Magic showed up. Well, Magic didn't win
Till he
with,
showed up.
with Kareem. Kareem leaves. Magic don't win no more.
Magic did. I mean, Kareem did win one without Magic. though,
He
right?
did one
Oscar.
in
With
Milwaukee.
Oscar, right?
Yeah. But he's also, they were terrible. He's one of the only guys, I think, to win the MVP. And I think that year they might not even been 500 that year. They didn't even make the playoffs.
So this is a correct. Okay, all right. So let's.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
I'm scared
Absolutely.
now. I'm scared
You
now.
should be.
I'm scared.
You should be. Okay, so I was talking to somebody about this, right? So everybody, we were talking about Kobe, right? Talking about Kobe. And we were talking about how Kobe is right now the 3rd all-time leading scorer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is about to get passed by LeBron,
Yes.
right? So we started talking about different things, and they was like, and I brought up a point that Kobe is probably the only player that's top 5 in scoring who never played on a bad team. He never played on a bad team. He didn't walk into the league and play on a team that won 15, 20, 25 games. So he never got a chance to go out there and shoot all the balls. I mean, let's be honest. He never got a chance to go out there and shoot all the balls his first, second, or 3rd year. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, can you think Jordan?
He was on a bad team.
They were bad. I mean, they still
Well,
made the playoffs, but
yeah.
they were under 500 and made the playoffs.
LeBron,
LeBron was on a bad team his first year.
Carl.
Karl Malone, they were bad his first couple years. Like, he might be the only player that's top 5 in scoring that walked into a win now situation and still was able to crack the top 3 all time in scoring.
Made up for it.
But you know,
Of course,
so
he
to that-
had to stretch with the 2 years
Yeah.
without Shaq. But
But to
one
your-
of those years he was hurt.
To your point
It's
on
like 30 games. Kevin Durant's gonna be another one. Sorry to cut you off.
All
But
the smoke.
Kevin Durant's gonna be another one, right? He played on a bad team.
did.
His
Because
first
Kobe
2 or 3
doesn't even
years.
get to 20 points until his 4th year.
Yeah.
And he
99,
was saying
2000,
on,
he's 22.5.
All the Smoke, he was saying that he was frustrated his first 2 years in the league because he wasn't really playing, and he was questioning whether or not he should have went to college over going pro.
His first year, he averaged 15 minutes a game.
Yeah, and he was saying he actually didn't get to start until the year I think they had traded away Eddie Jones.
Yep.
And then he
98,
said
99.
somebody got hurt. No, so Rick Fox was actually supposed to start over him.
That's hilarious.
So Eddie Jones got traded. Rick Fox was supposed to start over him, and he actually started at small forward because Rick Fox got hurt.
Wow.
So the 2 people that were supposed to start before him actually got hurt, and they put him at the small forward, and that's what actually got him to start. And he was playing so well that They just moved him to shooting
They
guard.
just roll with it.
They had to
So
just
that's
stay
the
with it.
season he finishes at 19 points.
Yep.
And he made his first All-Star game.
Yep.
So,
But on the All the Smoke pot, because
Actually, he didn't make it that year
oh wow.
because it was the strike shortened year. He made it the year before.
Yeah,
Yep.
before.
Oh, wow.
Okay, when all four of them made it.
Yep.
When it
Eddie
was
Jones, Nick
Ben
Van Exel, and Shaq.
So he was saying on All the Smoke because Steven Jackson had asked him what was your biggest down moment in the league, and he said when he got drafted.
That's a great point.
And I was like,
That's just my thing. Like that makes his achievement
That much better.
much more impressive, right? Because he doesn't get that chance to go out there and just
Gun.
just
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say gun because but
Well,
he doesn't have the
the
green
freedom to
light.
shoot.
He doesn't have the
Yeah.
green light, right? He's not
Or
the
just,
first
let's just
option.
say the opportunity.
Yeah,
he just didn't have the opportunity.
He doesn't get the minutes. He doesn't have the shot attempts, and he's able to crack that top 3 in scoring.
Mike starts as a rookie. He plays all 82 as a rookie.
He plays
and
what,
starts
35 minutes, 37 minutes,
38.
38 minutes. Yeah.
Go.
I mean, if you look at his first year,
Go.
hey, look.
he averaged 28 as a rookie.
Go.
So you know
I
things
mean,
like
he
that.
played 38 minutes.
Everybody can't do that though. That's a rookie.
I mean,
You
but
do
everybody
that.
doesn't get the
But
opportunity.
this is
man.
where it gets insane. Since I got
You
it
say
over.
that.
We
You
got
say that, but everybody don't do it.
like
They
when
get that
people
chance.
go out.
Hey,
Like
hey, I'm just
I
saying.
get what you're saying, but let's just be realistic.
he was 19 field goal attempts. He was 10 for 19. He shot 52%.
Jeez, this is rookie year.
His rookie year.
21.
So you look at
22
it, he's 28 and then he gets hurt. So he's 28 points and he's 22. But then he comes back the next season and this is the years in order. He runs off 37-1, 35-0, 32-5, 33, 31, 30, and 32. And then if you look at he led the league in steals 3 times. So the year he averaged 35, he's 3.2 steals. 89-90, he was the runner-up to MVP to Magic. He's 33, 2.8 steals. 92-92, he's 32, 2.8 steals. And he shot over 50%.
Don't talk. Comes to me personally, just don't talk to me. Don't.
I just told somebody earlier.
Just don't come to me with that, right? Just don't. Just don't.
I literally just told somebody earlier on Facebook, like they were, they love to argue about LeBron, Kobe.
I hate the
Mike,
argument. I think
right?
it's weird.
And I just told people, I was like, just point blank period, like, and they say, who would you pick? I'm like, dude. Michael Jordan is the best offensive player on this list, and he's the best defensive player on this list. Like, what else more?
What are we doing?
Do you need?
What
to
are we
know?
doing?
Like,
All right,
what else
let's
do you
close it out with this.
What we got?
So the All-Star game is coming back this year, right?
Right.
It was here in '88. Cool moment. I was there at the Saturday night. I was 7, but I was in the building with him and Jordan Dominique went out. I'm not gonna sit here and say I remember like that. I do remember a lot of flashbulbs, but I was in the building. So let's close with this. That season, he wins every award except for the Finals MVP and the 3-point contest.
Defensive player of the year.
He wins every single award.
In 1988.
Yep.
Dunk, led the league in steals, scoring. I always say, God bless these nerds, man, that put these games on YouTube. Because I think that's when I really got even a more appreciation of people like Jordan, Bird.
you can watch
Because when
it.
I was overseas, I used to just watch it. Like, Google the game Larry Bird plays left-handed in Portland and has 46. He took like 2 jumpers the whole game right-handed.
That's crazy.
Like, so for these young people, sometimes we didn't have this. Like, I'm 38. We didn't have this growing up. You could actually go back
And watch.
and y'all still saying these crazy opinions. Like,
Because
somebody
they
was
don't-
debating me the other night that Harden. Who was they saying?
We not even gonna get into that.
It was so weird. It was so
It's
weird.
but it's just this is my thing with it, and I've had this conversation about football, right? Because one of my coworkers always says like go back and watch football games, and I think for me, right, I always say I'd rather be able to pick somebody that I watch live instead of like looking at stats first and then go and watch it. Like if I can see what you did and then go back and watch it, it's like, okay, I see where these numbers come from, right? But if I watch it, like I watch Jordan live, you know what I'm saying? Like I watch LeBron live, like majority, like all LeBron's career, majority of Mike's career. So I know for a fact what they were able to do. So when you read these numbers, it's like, damn. But it's like, damn, in a way, like, shit, that was earlier when I was younger. and I didn't even have the appreciation for it until like now that I'm older. But like me watching Bron, it's like, bro, it's gonna be hard for somebody after that to come in the league and do what he's doing.
Right.
Like when we're 50, you know what I'm saying, and they got somebody in the league and they come like, oh, he was better than LeBron. It's like, look here, young buck, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it. And so like when you say watch Larry Bird, I'm gonna go watch it. But it's like I know I'm gonna be watching it with the intent, like, man, he's doing all this with his left hand. Like he was right. But like the young crowd, the younger kids, they're like, so what?
They waiting for him to dunk on somebody.
Yeah, they like, so where's the highlight? You know what I'm saying?
And even with him, like you go look at stuff and you like, it ain't quite the Dirk fadeaway, but he was kind of doing that.
He do, yeah.
It's not quite the same step back, but you can see the origins of the step back. Like the way we split the pick and roll. Jordan and Mark Price was doing that first. It was unheard of. They would string the big man out, do all these wild dribbles, and then pass it back, and then you try to catch him in rotations. That's how you beat pick and rolls. Jordan, Mark Price were the first ones I remember from that era coming out. Like, oh, I'm going to throw the ball through and try to. So, like, when these kids do this stuff and say that, like, where do you think. Appreciate it, bro. Where do you think you got that from?
Yep.
Like, they would kind of. So, I just try to keep everything in context. Like, when I do my podcast, I try to use as much perspective to give the new guys love. That's why I did the podcast, just asking the question, just scoring. Can we say James Harden is a better scorer than Jordan? Just scoring. And then if you look at the numbers, it was surprising to me when I did the research. It's closer than when you think. If you look at the last 3 years for Harden, including this season, I know he's been playing bad now. He kind of hit a little funk, but versus Jordan's best 3 years, it's almost identical. And then Harden beats him in some of the numbers. And then I have to factor in that he created an iconic move. Whatever you might say about his step back, that's a game-changing move.
It is.
And I said this, and you can relate. I'm glad I brought this up, then we got to get out here for real. You're a lefty like me. When I saw Harden one night, it just clicked. Do a step back, that side step going left with 2 defenders on him from range. That's when I was like, oh, we got to really, like, that's super hard because as a lefty, you want to go right to get your step back, just like the righty want to go left. For him to do that with range like that, it just triggered my mindset. I got to look at this, man. We got to have this conversation, man, because he might not be obviously the better player. But far as scoring the ball, you got to appreciate what the man is doing from a skill set. I don't care how many threes he's taking to get his points.
Yeah.
From a skill set to make that shot, crazy.
All right, so we gonna create our own list. We gonna put it on our page, and then what we also gonna do is we gonna post the Go Talk. We gonna post that as well because we got a pretty decent Go Talk. So we gonna post each one of our 3 lists on the greatest players of all time.
Tag me in it.
And we gonna tag you in it.
Yep.
And we gonna see what y'all think about it. This was a dope ass show.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
We
man.
appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you having me, man. I enjoyed it.
Plug your social media.
You can follow me on Instagram, Zach D Off the Glass. Actually, check out my IGTV over there. I do an NBA series, NBA Breakdown by Z, where I pick different players. Twitter, I'm always on Twitter, Zach at D Off the Glass. So follow me there. Let's engage. Let's chop it up. And then the website is www.theofftheglasspodcast.com. The link to the podcast is there. Like I always say, if you're an avid podcast listener, you name it, we there. So Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, we there. It's like I always say, you know, there's no excuse why you shouldn't be consuming this great content, man. And like I always plug you guys' stuff, man. A lot of great podcasts out here, man. So I'm thankful, grateful that you guys had me here. And I'm going to say it here, my motto is fan of no team, but a lover of basketball.
And don't forget to follow us, Instagram at Goodfellas Podcast, and that's Goodfellas spelled with a 3 instead of an E. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Goodfellas87, YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts. Hey, Will, what can they do?
Subscribe, rate, and review.
My man. So, Nadi, you got anything to say?
Oh, boy.
Man, nah, man. Appreciate Jack coming through, man. Goodfellas Podcast, another great
BU in the
episode.
house. Good to have my BU family here.
Good BU family here.
Oh, yeah, anybody got shout-outs?
Of course, I got.
Come on now.
Of course,
Come
I
on.
got a shout out. I like to shout out me and my wife, who are expecting our first child.
Yes, sir.
Salute. It is a girl. We just found out on Saturday. And man,
Congratulations, man.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
thank you, my good brother.
Yes.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
What's
Shout out.
up?
Happy birthday to my mother.
Happy birthday,
Birthday,
Mr.
Miss
Mrs.
Wilson.
Wilson, happy birthday.
Gotta shout out my wife, man.
Yes.
She at home with my kids right now, allowing me to do this.
Yes.
man.
What's
We
up, man?
appreciate you.
Without her,
We
there is no
appreciate
me,
you.
man. Salute to my wife, man. Love you,
Mhm.
baby.
I'm gonna let you go. I got to say.
Well, I'm gonna shout out my sister Raven. They're gonna find out the gender. She's expecting as well. They're gonna find out the gender next week.
Okay.
So, shout out to Raven and Jemani.
Shout out.
Yeah.
That's I just want to send my respects. 2 weeks ago on Sunday, I lost a student that went to Bourne High School, 17-year-old. He was shot and left for dead in the middle of the street. It was a student I was actually close with. Tried to mentor him. It's still one I'm dealing with, like personally, for real, because it just hurt. So I just want to say, I know we have a lot of young kids that are involved in the streets and things. But take a minute if you have, you know what I'm saying, to really connect with a young brother that's in high school that may be lost. Like, get to know their story, because I deal with this on a daily basis, and it's tough, man. Like, some of the lives these kids live, it's very tough.
Yeah.
And, man, Michael, I miss you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Your voice plays in my head all the time. And I just want to say this, your best friend is doing this thing on the court in honor of you. So,
Salute to that.
Salute to that man.
God bless. God
R.I.P.
bless.
to that man.
God bless.
Praying for his family. Stop the violence, man. I will say that before we get out of here, man. Stop the violence. Put the guns down.
Yeah.
Until next week, man. We are out of here. Goodfellas Podcast. Love, live, life. We'll holler at y'all.